What's going on, guys? Today we're taking a look at this CPU cooler right here. This is the Enermax ETS-TD60 digital. So let's go ahead and take a look. Now, as we take a first look at the cooler, it is a pretty large cooler, as most dual tower, dual fan coolers are. I'll go ahead and put the official dimensions up on the screen like I always do. This cooler is also gonna weigh in at 1,015 grams. Now, as far as color goes, this is gonna be all black. So you have a black heatsink, black fans, even the heat pipes are gonna be all black. Starting at the front of the cooler, we have our first fan, which is a 120 millimeter fluid dynamic bearing fan that does have 9 fan blades. The fans on the cooler are held into place with fan clips, and those holes actually have rubber on them to cut down on vibration noise. Looking at the cooler from the side, we can see the dual tower, dual fan design, and of course our second fan, which is mounted in the center of the cooler. This is the exact same fan we saw on the front of the cooler. Moving to the back of the cooler, we can get a better look at the heatsink. Each one of the heatsink stacks is going to be 40 millimeters thick and 105.4 millimeters tall. The heatsinks are going to be capped off at the top with a nice black reflective cover. One of these caps has the Enermax logo on it. This is also where you're going to find the digital display, which we'll get into in just a little bit. Coming up from the base of the cooler are 6 millimeter thick copper heat pipes that go up into each heatsink tower in a U fashion, which is pretty standard for this type of cooler. These heat pipes make use of a composite design. As we look at the base of the cooler, it is nickel-plated copper and it has a very nice finish on it. When it comes to installation, we will be installing this cooler on an AMD X870 motherboard. So this installation is going to be for AMD's AM5 socket. The first thing you want to do is remove the AM5 mounting brackets that are on your motherboard. You are going to keep the backplate in place though. Next, take the AMD spacers and place them on the pegs from the AM5 backplate. From here, install the AMD brackets. These need to be installed on the top and bottom of the socket and can only be installed that way. Remove the center fan from the cooler, install your thermal paste, and then carefully place the cooler on top of your CPU, lining up the screws with the holes in the AMD brackets. Using a screwdriver, go ahead and secure the cooler. Did you guys see that? I cannot believe that I actually did this. I've installed probably like 100 CPU coolers in my time reviewing CPU coolers, and I actually left the cover on the base of the cooler. It's happened. We've seen the pictures. I have no clue how I did that in the process of shooting this and making this video, but I did. All you have to do if you do that, I actually did the whole process. I did the entire process, shot it, and then I turned my system on and the fan was going crazy on this and my temperatures were like at 80 C idle, and I was like, what's going on? So all you have to do is, if you happen to do that, all you do is just take it off, remove that, and then you just reapply your thermal paste and put the cooler back on and you're good to go. That typically doesn't melt. And you won't have any issues, but I can't believe I did that. With the cooler installed, you can see that front fan clears our memory no problem. Be sure to reinstall the center fan, connect the fans to the fan splitter, and then plug the splitter into your CPU fan header. You also want to connect the USB 2.0 header coming off the cooler. I was able to route this around the backside of my motherboard tray and connect it to the USB 2.0 header on the bottom of my motherboard, no problem. Now that we have the cooler installed, the digital display won't turn on by default. You need to download this Enermax Tuner software here. It's very simple. It does have some weird scaling issues and you can't make it any bigger than what's actually on the screen here. You can set your language, you can auto start on boot, you can change your temperature between Celsius and Fahrenheit. So if we switch this to Fahrenheit, we can see that things change to Fahrenheit on the actual cooler. Let's put it back to Celsius. The data change interval in seconds, so how often the actual things change from CPU to GPU to fan speed. Then you can have set up alerts, so CPU temperature alert, GPU temperature alert, fan speed alert. You can have all those set up, and then you can choose what it displays. So I've had an issue where I cannot see the RPM. For some reason, it's not reading the RPM. I have a Gigabyte Aorus X870 motherboard, and for some reason, it's not reading the fan speed. So I don't want that fan speed, that 0 RPM, to be showing. So I can just turn that off. And now it's going to go ahead and just cycle between CPU temperature and GPU temperature. Fan speed won't be on there. So if you do run into that issue, it's really easy to solve that. But yeah, this is the Enermax Tuner app. It's super simple and easy to use, and it just works with exception to that, the fan speed, at least on my motherboard. When it comes to testing, we're gonna be testing both temperatures and noise levels. So here's a full rundown of the hardware in our test system, as well as the different tests that we do. Now, as we come to the end here, I have to say this is a very solid cooler from Enermax. In terms of performance, it's gonna probably sit like in the middle of most of our coolers. We just redid our CPU cooler test system, so we don't have any back results, but just based on the performance here, it's gonna sit sort of in the middle. It's not gonna be crazy high performance, but the best part about this cooler is that price. It's around 50 bucks, which you really can't complain. Those super high-end coolers that we have tested in the past are like 100, over 100. One is 150, you know which one I'm talking about. So this, you could get 3 of these for the cost of 1 of those, and the performance is gonna be very comparable. This is super easy to install as well. You know, you don't have to necessarily remove your motherboard from your case or anything like that. It is very easy to install, and it doesn't take up like the entire section here. Those massive coolers, they take up like the entire thing. This does not. You also have that digital display, which I like, but in our case with this Gigabyte motherboard, for some reason the RPM, as you can see right there, reads 0. I couldn't figure it out. But you do get your CPU and GPU temperature in real time, and you can turn that RPM off, so it just cycles between CPU and GPU if you want to. I would say that's kind of the only downside. This also runs very quiet as well. So I really like this cooler. I think the price is right. And if you wanted the version that has the ARGB fan in the front, it's like, I think $5 to $10 more expensive. So if you want to add, you know, a little bit of bling, you can go ahead and do that. So if you have any questions about the CPU cooler, go ahead and leave it in the comment section below. And if you did enjoy this video, I would appreciate it if you hit the thumbs up. We'll see you guys in the next video.